What are the reasons and why do we protest? Why do we call some of our protests No Kings? Well, let me share with you some of my personal experiences and the reason why I attend protests and why I believe there should be no kings in America. My name is Kurt Mullet. I'm Hoosier Blue, and I have something to say. Let's get at it. I attended my first protest in March down in Indianapolis. And since then, I have attended 11 protests in 7 different cities. The first few that I attended were in Indianapolis. But I decided on a drive home from one of the protests that I was going to do something a little different. I was going to start to attend protests in different communities and towns around central Indiana where I live. And that is what I have been doing. Like I said, I've been to 11 protests in 7 different cities. And I have met some amazing people. In each community, we are all the same, but very different in what we believe, the situation that is occurring in our communities, the demographics that exist in each community. But this is what I decided to do. So Saturday, as I was driving to Marion, Indiana, which is where I attended the No Kings rally on the 18th, I thought about some of the things that were happening in our country and the reason why I was making this journey and why at 62 years old, I feel it's important that we do this. This administration has proven over and over again that they have no regard for the laws in our country, that they have no regard to the Constitution in our country. They simply do not care. They are hell bent on installing their agenda that is based on Project 2025 and the mandate for leadership. That is what is occurring in our country. Make no mistake about it. And this is why we protest. This is why we do what we do. They are trying to whitewash our country. They want America to be a white nation. They want to remove all minorities, period. They have started with what they refer to as criminals, but are simply brown people, Latinos, immigrants. Many of them are documented and are here legally, but there are some that are still undocumented. But they are following the laws that are in place in order to gain their citizenship. But we, for some reason, I should say, this administration, for some reason, feels like even though they're following the laws and trying to become legal in this country, they're criminals and they should be kidnapped and thrown out of our country. We have learned so many horror stories since this deportation thing started. People being sent to countries that they have no idea where they are going or have ever been there before. Not their native countries, just foreign lands they're being shipped to. We have situations like in Chicago where ICE raided an apartment building that was occupied by minorities, not just Latinos, but by minorities, illegally, racially profiling individuals, removing them from their homes, bringing them outside in the middle of the night, zip tying the hands of children together so they could have some kind of order while they conducted their investigations. And I find this to just be an unbelievable situation that is occurring. Here's the thing that I've thought about quite a bit about the situation in Chicago, and it absolutely bothers me. And I can't make any sense of it, so I want to share it with you. Over a 2-year period, Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, bused over 30,000 immigrants to Chicago. at a cost of over $55 million, or $1,840 roughly per immigrant. He now has deployed 3,000 Texas National Guard to Chicago at an estimated expense of $1.6 million per day, or $533 per guardsman. Now, they have been deployed for a 60-day period. If you do the math, that will total over $96 million. Now, if you do the math again, the total money spent by Texas alone to bus immigrants into Chicago, then to send National Guard from Texas to Chicago to kidnap those same immigrants in order to deport them, it's a total of about $151 million. I'm sure that the people of Texas would have loved to have used that money for different reasons. Let's say, for instance, their power grid. It seems like every time the weather gets extremely cold, the power shuts down. Seems like every time the weather gets extremely hot, the power shuts down. So I'm sure $151 million would have come in handy. But this is just one of the examples or things that bother me the most about what is happening in Chicago. It's just absurd at what has taken place. So when I go to these protests, one of the things that I enjoy doing is mingling around the crowd and just talking to people. I don't care what they look like, who they are. That doesn't enter my mind. The more diversity that I can have as far as conversation, I feel the better it makes me as a human being. I also feel that what makes America the beautiful country that it is our diversity, is the number of different people that share a common home together, that live next to each other, that can, for the most part, exist in harmony and peace. But that has changed since this dude come down the escalator. So some of my conversations Saturday really hit home with me. Most of the older people are concerned, people my age, okay? I'm 62. Most of the older people are concerned about their health care benefits, their insurance, because that's what becomes important to you as an individual as you get older. And for anyone who is younger that is listening to this podcast, you will find that out one day, if you don't already know that. But that was the main concern: Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. People are scared to death. I talked to a woman already who had received a notice that her premium is going to almost triple if the ACA tax credits are not extended. And that's what is happening. That's why the government shutdown has taken place. While talking to her, it obviously became an emotional situation for her. And me being the guy I am, it became a bit emotional for me too. I try not to show that to people when I'm at these protests talking to them, because I'm trying to give them reassurance and to let them know that it's going to be okay, that we are going to survive this, and that is why we are out here protesting like we are, because we're here to work together to save our democracy, and that she's not alone, that there are millions of us who feel the exact same way that she does. So I told her I just wanted to talk to her and let her know that there are people out there that will listen to what she has to say. A tear came to her eye, and I had to walk away before tears started flowing out of my eyes, because they kind of do easily sometimes. Then I talked to a young girl. She was probably 25, 26 years old. She was by herself. She had her pug with her. And this is a picture of her right here. And it was one of my favorite signs that I seen that day. And I just chatted with her. And I've got to tell you, a lot of people, especially younger people, are hesitant when an old white dude comes up to them and starts talking to them because they're not used to that. I understand and I've learned that there are a lot of younger people out there, a lot of people, period, who have not had a good experience with the men in their lives or do not have a favorable opinion or view of older men. And I understand that. I get it. I'm the same way. I look at most dudes that are my age and I have a bit of disgust in my view of them also. But I just chatted with her, and her concerns were how is she going to survive because she's a single girl. She works, does not have any kids, just has her pug, but her cost of living has escalated quite a bit since COVID. And especially in the last couple of years, her rent has skyrocketed. In fact, this year she said her rent, and I didn't ask her what it was, but it was increased $100 at the beginning of the year by her landlord. And she doesn't know what she's going to do because the money she has left over from her paychecks has dwindled down to where it's almost nothing. She doesn't have very much left to live on and to buy necessities. So that was a whole different story than the one with the woman before. And this is what happens, and this is why I do what I do. I try to talk to as many different people as I can and to get their opinion, and just to be able to lock arms and stand side by side with people and let them know you're not alone. That your feelings are the same that I have. They may be focused on the subject a little bit different than mine, but they're the same when it gets down to it. Our country is in turmoil right now. Many people are scared. And if it wasn't for the Democrats finally taking a stance against these Republicans and demanding the reconciliation bill is accepted and that the ACA tax credits are extended, we would be in a world of hurt right now. And we are anyway. It's going to take decades to correct the wrongs that have been done by this administration. That is a fact. I doubt I will see those improvements or changes made during my lifetime. I'm sure it will come after that. I hope that I am wrong by saying that, but time will tell. But this is why I go to protest. This is why it's vitally important that we as a nation protest right now. We have slowly increased the number of protesters as time has gone on. And it seems like the No Kings protest have been the biggest attended protest in our country. The last one that we had back in June, I think it was, there was about 5 million attendees to those protests, which was a great number, but it wasn't enough. So now here in October on the 18th, it's estimated that about 7.5 million protesters attended the No Kings protest, which is a great improvement. 2.5 million added to the previous number. We couldn't have asked for anything better, but it has to be more. Studies have been done and the facts have been collected, or I should say the data has been collected to present the facts that in order for protests to have an effect on a government that they are protesting against, there has to be at least a 3.5% participation of the populace in that particular country who are protesting. At 7.5 million people, we are at about 2.2% of our population. In order to get to that 3.5, we need at least 12 million protesters, which means we have to add at least 5 million protesters when the next round of nationwide protests come onto the schedule. And I know there's talks about it right now, and I should have looked up and seen if anything was scheduled for sure before I started my podcast, and I apologize for that, but I know that they are in the works. So keep an eye out on social media platforms and the news and try to stay in touch with it. NoKings.org is a great platform to go to, a good website to get information. The 5051 movement, 5051, is also a great website to go to follow up on protests and activities that are going on and ways that you can help. Both of those platforms will give you different things that you can help and contribute in as far as the protesting goes. And I'll go ahead and include the links to both of those sites down in the comments below. So please just keep an eye on things and do your part, because protesting does work. You can look at, I don't know how active a lot of you are on social media, but you can look at the social media platforms, which I am heavily active on. And MAGA still is not shutting up about it. They are continuously talking about it today, and they're spreading a lot of lies. They're talking about the numbers being down around 650,000 people, which is a bold-faced lie. That's absolutely not true. We have video evidence and we have proof that the numbers are much, much higher than that. In fact, I think this 7.5 that they're reporting right now, I think it's going to grow as we gather more numbers. It was phenomenal to see, situations like this across our country occurring. So keep the faith. We're in their heads. They're paying attention to us. They know that our voices are gaining momentum. They know that the size of the people joining our movement are increasing. They also know that there are people that have been longtime Republicans and many Trump supporters who have decided that's not what they want in this country. So they are also joining in on our protest. So have faith and protest. Keep an eye on them. Be encouraged and inspired by us protesters. Because I got to tell you something. Traveling around Indiana and seeing all of the different protests and talking to all the different people that I do, it's inspiring to me. I feel a sense of unity that, I haven't felt in a long time. And that's why we do what we are doing. And I just wanted to convey that to you and just talk a little bit about the protest. Now, I want to talk about also, why do we call it No Kings? What is the purpose and what is the reasoning behind the protest, the big protest that we have had being called No Kings? Well, it simply has to do with the fact that the actions and the decisions and policies that this guy has made while in office are actions of a king. No doubt about it. And it's funny because MAGA on social media, one of the things that they say or that they've repeated, because you know how they are, they get onto one kick and they just repeat themselves over and over. They say the same thing. They all say the same thing. They never have originality. But one of the things that they repeated over and over and still are, I seen a post this morning about it, that if he was a king, he would not allow protest. And to me, right, if he was a king, we wouldn't be allowed to protest. So that is why we are protesting. I mean, the stupidity of that comment that they're making and that narrative that they have adopted is just absolutely ridiculous to me. You're goddamn right. If he was a king, he would not allow us to protest. That is why we are protesting. I mean, My God, it just amazes me sometimes the narrative and the things that the right says and what they believe. It's just truly mind-boggling. But why do we call it No Kings? What has he done to deserve this slogan or this idea of No Kings? Well, let me share with you some of the things that this guy has done that have caused us to say No Kings. The main reason why we call it No Kings and we protest under that banner is because of his disregard for law and the Constitution. He has signed so many executive orders or EOs that violate our Constitution. An executive order does not give him the power, which he thinks it does, to change constitutional law or to change an amendment or to actually do a lot of the things that he thinks that they are allowing him to do. His use of executive orders are the main issue that have caused us to say No Kings. And I'm just going to give you a few of those examples that he has done to back up the fact that we are protesting No Kings. He signed an EO ending birthright citizenship, violates the 14th. He signed an EO suspending asylum access, that violates the 5th. He signed an EO for surveillance of visa holders, that violates the 1st. He signed an EO suspending the refugee program, that violates the 5th. His unlawful search and seizures violates the 4th. Eliminating due process violates the 5th. Mass firings of inspectors general violates the Inspector General Act of 1978. The dismantling of federal agencies like the Department of Education or USAID without congressional approval is in violation of government statute. Cancellation of federal grants oversteps executive power. Grants originally approved by Congress can only be withheld or removed by an act of Congress. He cannot go rogue and make that decision on his own. Those are the actions of a king, a wannabe dictator, of a monarch. He refuses to comply with federal court orders and rulings. His retaliation against various law firms by signing EOs targeting certain firms representing political opponents violates both the 1st and the 6th. His unlawful use of military forces against American citizens violates the Posse Comitatus Act, established in 1878. Federalizing National Guard units is in violation of the 10th Amendment. And now he has started a demolishing of the east wing of the White House in order to build a ballroom that is expected to be in excess of $300 million in expense. And I am sure it will increase over that once this is all said and done. And he claims that he is going to pay for it with his own money, with the help of some friends, of course, some investors, he says. Investors in the People's House, because that's what the White House is, the People's House. So how do we have investors into the People's House? Those are the actions and the thoughts of a dude who wants to be a king. And this is why we had the protest, No Kings, because of this kind of thing right here. Now, he's doing this destruction to the east wing of the White House while simultaneously demanding a $230 million payment from his corrupt DOJ for unlawful investigations into his criminal activity. He wants to be paid and compensated because he was investigated during his first term. That's what this is all about. Now, keep in mind, he has still yet to pay his $92 million bond for his conviction of sexually assaulting E. Jean Carroll. What I have just shared with you are just a few from a long list of the violations against federal law in our country and our Constitution. The fact that his personal wealth has grown by over a reported $6 billion since January is a whole different story that needs to be discussed. But that will be at a later date. This is why we protest, and I know I've said this many times, but this is exactly the reason behind the protest, the No Kings protest. It's because of the things that I just shared with you, the list of things that he has done while he's been in office in this short 10-month period. I understand that a lot of you are unable to attend protest or maybe have fear of attending a protest, and I get that. What I would say to you that can't attend, there are many ways you can help. And like I said, the links I'll share below, go to those web pages and see if there's any way that you can volunteer or become active in one of these protests. But if you are able to protest and you are afraid, let me share this with you. First off, don't be afraid. If you attend a protest, there are probably going to be hundreds, if not thousands of people right there with you. And as long as you peacefully protest and are nonviolent, you should be okay. But let me share this with you. The fear that you may have to protest and what may occur will pale in comparison to the fear that will consume your mind if this administration is not stopped and we do not hold tight to our democracy. Because if we lose our democracy and allow these people that are trying to destroy it to achieve their goal, your fear will consume you. So please just keep that in mind. Peacefully protesting is the most effective way to fight tyranny, to fight fascists, to fight dictators, to fight monarchs, to fight wannabe kings. And this is why no kings and protesting is vitally important. Thank you so much for supporting my podcast. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to listen to me. If you like what I have to say, please give me a like, give me a comment, follow me. Tell your friends, your family, and your coworkers about me. I truly would appreciate it. My name is Kurt Mullet. I'm Hoosier Blue, and I have something to say. I'll catch you on the flip side.